Hello,
They
everyone,
didn't
and
fix
welcome
it?
to this week's episode of Hotline League. It's gonna be a banger because we had Mark Zimmerman drop a lecture series on the LTA YouTube channel where he busts out the whiteboard and he's like, "Listen, guys, the philosophies of Riot Games have led us to make these decisions, and we're gonna whatever." Anyway, we're gonna talk about that.
True. I
There's
slept after
also
10 seconds of that.
what you couldn't get through 10 seconds.
Yeah, I just slept immediately.
Yeah, that's fair. I understand. He came over and he was like, "What did you think of the end?" And I was like, "I didn't make it that far." And then he got really angry, and then we watched the rest of it live so that I could talk to him about it. Anyway, the point is that we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Near Airport. I did an interview with both Peter and Pobelter as well as Croissant, their coach. So that's going to be some tier 2 conversation. It's finally, after all these years, permitted to make it into the main part of the show. Because what is Travis Gafford without his ability to talk about Double Lift? And then we're going to talk about some other stuff, which I can't think about in the moment, but like callers will think of for me because I'm trying to remember what I missed in this past week that I haven't mentioned. But you know what? You know who's going to help me with that? It's none other than Cubby. Cubby, how you been, and what did I forget else happened this past week?
I've been good. I got back from Arizona. I enjoyed a lot of the first weekend of March Madness on a bachelor party, which was scheduled. So it was on the first weekend of March Madness, which is a lot of games. So that was fun. And yeah, LPL's started back up. LTA starts back up this upcoming week. Yeah, and ready to kind of get back into the swing of things. So yeah, it should be good. Also, I know I said this off air, so it was out of the podcast episode, but I'm now on book 2, part 2 of the Way of Kings series, the Stormlight Archive. So
Yep.
yeah, I made some good progress, and I must say I very much enjoyed the first book, and I'm enjoying the second book a lot too. So yeah, it's been good.
That's awesome. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
This past weekend, Cubby messaged me, and he said, "You like Paramore?" There's no question mark. He just said it.
That's
and
true.
I said, "Somewhat." And then he just said, "The guys here don't. Losers." And that was our conversation that we had during the last week.
Dude, how can you even think about skipping Still Into You? It was a whole thing
Wait, they
poolside.
skipped it?
Yeah, that song bangs. I don't care where you're at or what. I don't care if it's a group of dudes. Does not matter. Haley Williams slaps. Paramore slaps. You can't skip Paramore.
No
Cubby-
way they skip it.
Yeah, it was bad taste.
Cubby was at a bachelor party, and he came back without any friends, is what I'm hearing. But that's good. Sometimes you have to cut the toxic people out of your life, and it sounds
As
like
is tradition.
Sounds like they did. All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk to Raz here, who's joining as our guest for the episode. Raz, how you been?
I've been good, actually. The last couple weeks have been randomly going out because oftentimes I'll realize during the actual season itself, I'm just like stuck home, going to studio, back home, going to studio. And then I'm like, all right, I actually have to reach out to friends. So, of course, I reached out to Travis and I was like, Travis, we're great friends. We haven't gone out and done things in a long time. Let's do Ben a favor and go out and see his comedy show together.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
That is exactly what happened.
He's funny.
Travis,
it's a funny show.
And Travis was like, you know what, Raz, thank you for the great invitation. Let's go together.
Yeah, it was so generous. In fact, right now I'm going to pull up a picture
there it is.
that I took with Raz, where he definitely invited me out to this comedy show.
Yeah.
And where I saw him at the comedy
I'm a thoughtful
show.
person.
Several rows ahead of me. As you could tell here, this was him inviting me, and that was definitely him reacting to me as I took the picture. No, it was fun. No, we did go to Ben's show. For those that don't know, Ben, who I guess was previously the manager at Team Liquid, and then now he's like more of a mascot, I think is really how that works. He's somebody who messages me every week and says, "Can we have Spawn on the show this week?" And I say yes, and then he goes, "Never mind, psych."
Oh my
but
God.
Which is it's basically what happened the last 2 weeks. He messaged me last night and was like, "Can Spawn come on tomorrow?" And I said, "Sure." He's like, "Never mind, we've got Scribs." And I was like, "Cool, great." But he does a comedy show with a bunch of friends in Los Angeles, and at the Yard Theater, and it's pretty fun. He makes jokes about his League of Legends team, and the audience gets confused. But
It's funny.
yeah, it's been really fun.
Yeah.
So I went to it with somebody, and then Raz also just came in, sat 2 rows in front of me, and I took a picture of him and sent it to him, and he's like, "Oh, here we both are." It was a good time.
It was a good time. It was a great time. So like, there's that. I showed some friends Ethiopian food restaurant yesterday, and then today was like a friend's birthday picnic thing. So we made friendship bracelets, and I thought I made like a pretty nice, good bracelet, but no one was willing to take it. I wonder why. I thought it was great. Let me show you guys. I can do it. There it is. Does it show perfectly? Is it good?
That is very sweet.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh,
Nice.
never mind. I don't know if we want to show that on screen. Nobody's screen's got to clip that.
That is something I made, but no one was willing to. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
well, speaking of that, your ability to commune with people over things like that, we were at the comedy show. The second, or I think he was the last comedian, comes up, and this guy's like got a decent following. I think he's in LA, and like halfway through he goes, "Hey, anybody here an African immigrant?" And like as if like no one would say anything, and I just hear Raz go, "Yeah!" And then they had this whole moment where they were both talking about Ethiopia. It was very fun. So that was
because I've seen the guy's named Biniam Bizine, and he's like, I've seen his Instagram like reels. He has Instagram reels that like pop up once in a while if you're like on the like stand-up comic thing, and he's like an Ethiopian comedian. And so when Ben was like, first of all, posted on Twitter like, "Hey, anyone coming to this?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm down." And then he throws me the poster, and I was like, "Oh, I know this guy." So he's the last comedian. He's hilarious. And I was like, he was like, "Oh, where are you from?" And I just said, "I'm Oromo." And that instantly triggered. He was like, "Oh, snap. For anybody that doesn't know, like, you know, the tribalism stuff, it's like Crips and Bloods because he's Amharic." So I just connected through the fact that our people hate each other. that was basically it. But it was fun. I enjoyed the show a lot.
It was a fun little moment. Well,
so I will say I went to Ben's show once. I went with Rafa, and there was a very famous female streamer sitting behind us. I think I told Raz this story, and someone that was like, you know, doing comedy was like, "Do you guys know what a taint is?" And Mark just goes, "No." So he didn't realize who was sitting behind him, and so we have this like funny story where like a very big female streamer and Mark's just like in front. It's like there's like a whole conversation like about what a taint was. It was really funny.
Oh,
it's a good show.
Christ.
Yeah, it's a good show.
All right. Well, anyway, we're going to talk. Shout out our sponsors now for the show. Shout out to PrizePicks and NZXT. They're both fantastic. PrizePicks we're going to talk about later on, but they're a great way to sort of add a fun little element to your gameplay watching while you are watching games. NZXT makes amazing PC computers and cases and so many other things. So we'll talk about more of them, but thank you to both of them for sponsoring us, and you can find links to both of their stuff in the description. Clicking those links really supports us. Regardless, let's get into this past week. Okay, so it has been a bit of a quieter week, but we did get...
also, Tones won EU Masters. That was a big one.
Who?
Nothing. Europe doesn't exist.
Talk to me about near airport. You know what I'm saying? All right.
Not true. And they play in 2 days.
Yeah. No, I mean, okay, that's fair. If somebody wants to call in, we don't tend to talk too much about European stuff, but I think Los Ratones is a phenomenon that I think has sort of broader implications for League of Legends esports, and so if people do want to talk about that, that's fine. And I do think it's kind of crazy that they ended up winning. I saw Cadril tweeting today about the experience of coaching and what he's been getting into and all that stuff. So
yeah, and some of the FlyQuest guys specifically, oh God, I need to look at what tweet I was responding to. It was Empire, and they were just basically going back to the whole streaming scrims thing. So it definitely brought it back as a conversation.
Yeah,
exactly. If you want to ever relitigate that.
Actually, streaming scrims helps you win championships. That's what the new argument is.
Yes.
Not sure about that.
So now, Now when NA doesn't stream their scrims, they're actually just being lazy, and they can't beat the Korean teams. They don't stream scrims. Is that the new argument?
Exactly.
Yes.
Here, we
Yes.
figured out a way to make it about North America. So
Yes.
There it is.
But no, I think so. We'll talk about all this stuff, and then I think this is going to be a bit of a open mic night for folks if they want to talk about something else, because we haven't had one of those in a while, as we've been talking about first stand and all that type of stuff. And then next week we're going to be previewing the new split as everything kicks off again next week. So we'll finally be back. Do you guys remember Disguised Toast, for instance, has a team? We haven't seen them in like 2 months, so there's going to be a lot to get back into next week. So regardless,
Oh, so you're previewing the format next week?
No, we're previewing like, hey, we're back in split 2.
Okay,
we can talk about format stuff this week. I'm just saying, like,
okay, that's good.
Talk about matchups and all that type of stuff.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. So, I guess we haven't done this in a while. Do you want to give a spiel on how the show works, Cubby?
Yeah, if you guys want to call on in, discord.gg/Travis, drop your take at me, at Cubby, with the take, and then you have to join a call. If we like your take, we'll pull you into the waiting room, and then we can go from there. So, yeah, I looking forward. We just kind of brushed through the topics. Definitely want to hit on near airport. Can weave in some Los Ratones, and then Mark C's update and some other stuff you guys want to talk about. So yeah, it should be good.
Give us something surprising, something we didn't expect, for this week.
Yeah.
While we're waiting, Travis, can you explain to me why I had to reinstall Skype when it is basically dead for this show? Move on, Travis. The hell is this? Gotta move on. Look, we all move on in life. Girlfriends come and go. We go on from our exes and we move on to the next. Jobs come in. We move on to the next. Move on from Skype.
I can't believe that something so important to me is sitting in its deathbed, and Raz is just sitting there like, pull the plug. Just pull the plug,
Kill that thing.
I can't do that. We have to enjoy it. We've got 1 month left of Skype, and then I have to figure out some other solution that will probably be inferior and somehow cost me $20 a month. So I'm enjoying this while I can.
Can't we just use Discord?
Oh, I got
no.
it. We're just gonna use video.
Raz, how do we use Discord?
Send
we have like one that people leak shit constantly on Discord, because when you're capturing Discord, it's easy for like you to switch tabs, or you press something and you go into a screen.
True.
Like, you never want to screen capture Discord. Secondly, when people join the call, it rearranges all the different boxes, so there's not like a great way to screen capture it. Discord doesn't have a way to form like an NDI feed. Skype does, and so you just get actually like you're not screen capturing Skype. It's just sending it straight into the broadcast software. It's so much better, and I'm actually so pissed that it's ending. And it's so crazy to me that people still complain about it. But anyway, this is
the one thing I'll complain about Skype as we're waiting for calls. The one thing is, every time I log on to Skype, I am added into 4 random Bitcoin groups. Like with like
I just got into today.
Members.
Yeah, but you guys still use Twitter.
Yeah, at least Twitter decides to put them in the useless bin, so I don't have to actually look at them. And if I do, it's like a nice form of entertainment. It's just slapped onto my main Discord thing.
I get them all the time in my notification feed, where it'll be like, fingers crossed at Travis Gafford, and it's them crossing their fingers about hopefully getting some access of they just tag me.
That is
trying
true.
to get some sort of crypto coin or something. I don't know.
That'll happen.
So glad that we got that new ownership of Twitter a while ago, so that he could fix all these bots that he claimed were such big issues.
He's doing a fantastic job. It's not like I got flooded with like 500 Trump bots.
10 times worse.
Dude, hey, they follow me. That's fantastic. But at some point, Order 66 is going to come through, and they're going to nuke every post I've ever made. Like the 600 Trump bots that follow me.
Yeah. Whenever we take over Canada and
execute
enemy
order
number 1.
66.
All right,
well, let's get off the rails.
Let's talk some League of Legends. We have somebody in the waiting room.
I got a call.
Yeah. Folks, we are pretty low on callers tonight, so if you really want to get on the show, tonight's a great night to do it. Please go put your takes into the Pleb Topics and Subtopics channel. because I guess it's just people don't have as many takes tonight, so it kind of makes sense. There's not been too much going on, but we need folks that we can pull in the waiting room. Can't do the show without your help. Thank you to i9 Gamings for the $3 super chat, and over on I saw Joshua Lippelman. Thank you for the membership. Late Night Arc for 30 months. Holy moly. We just played, and Little Taco. Thank you, everybody, for the subs and support. We've got our first caller of the night. It's none other than Rudy. Rudy, where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. I'm calling from Bergen County, New Jersey.
From New Jersey. You're kind of quiet. I don't know if you can get closer to your mic. I've got you at 100 or 200%. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I'll try to bring it closer. I'm on a laptop. I don't have my mic set up right now, so
I want you to lean right up next to your monitor.
Is this better?
No, it's good.
Exactly
A little bit.
All
A
right.
little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just have to do that then. But yeah, so I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think is gonna happen with either your like short-term or long-term prospects with the tier 2 development scene? This seems like a very like Western thing right now. Because it seems like for the LPL and LCK, they at least are like committing to making it a tier two like purely development. But it seems like at least in the West, with like the success of LR and now NA, a lot of the eyes are just on those guys and those personalities and seeing how far they would go. And I haven't really seen a lot of discussion on how that impacts the development of every other player and every other team that is involved in tier 2. So yeah.
You can start this one, Cubby.
Yeah, this is definitely a Cubby story.
Yeah, I think that like the way that you phrased your take as well, it was more so the concern of, is the purpose for tier 2 to get views or develop talent is kind of like where I guess the original take, right? Like, is tier 2 just becoming a content farm for former pros, or is it supposed to be an actual development ecosystem, right? I think the idea is, why not both? But there's actually a pretty easy way to look at this, which is there are still leagues where tier 1 teams are required to have tier 2 teams, and that is like LCK, and LDL. Those teams are like the incentive for tier 2. I think that this is where at least a lot of people that are now tuning into tier 2, they're kind of missing out on the point of it. And I think that a lot of the changes that Riot made actually do hurt the developmental ecosystem, at least in NA. Here's why. When anyone is able to compete and play at the highest level, they should be able to. And if they want to stream and do everything they can, they have all the freedom to do so. We talked about Cadril and his team, Los Ratones, competing. We thought that they were competing at 98% operating level just because they're opting to stream everything and do it for content. Clearly, I mean, it's impossible to get enough tape to scout. I'm sure the teams had a better idea what to do going up against them, but they weren't able to beat them. They won the league. They won EMEA. That's pretty cool. Purpose, like a lot of people enjoy that. They've set records for viewership. That's awesome, right? I think that the way that Riot looked at tier 2, though, it changed. It's now, and this happened for a lot of the global leagues, where Riot looks at each league as an entity and is like, is this going to make money or not? Can these guys get to break even or better or not? I think that for tier 1 leagues, that's somewhat acceptable. For tier 2, that should not be the metric of success. What it should be is, are the tier 1 teams able to get prospects and players where they feel like they can compete at like within their own league and internationally? When you remove the so when they changed the system and they changed this to be promotion relegation, and they stopped requiring the franchise teams to actually be a part of this, like they're actually disincentivized to be like do this. Like, for example, if FlyQuest were to have a team in tier 2, like they've done every year, like even through the non-requirements, and promote, they wouldn't even be able to like sell or own that spot. Like it's really weird what ends up happening there. I think if they won the league, they couldn't even compete in the promotion tournament with the new rules given. Now, previously, your incentive was the fact that if you developed a JoJo Pion, I remember talking with EG and Peter Dunn around this time, JoJo's salary compared to Humanoid's salary in that offseason where they were deciding whether or not to start JoJo or not, when there was a lot of money in the space, that difference in salary pretty much would have bankrolled their academy program for the upcoming year. So your incentive is to actually develop talent, be able to pay them, rookie contracts, kind of like what you see the meta like for the NFL is right now. Your highest paid position is your QB. People are drafting rookie QBs to try and find that 4 to 5 year window where you are on the rookie contract before you sign for $500 million in a salary capped league, where you can actually build a team around them and win things. It's the same idea with developing talent. And you see this for the leagues where you are required to have a team. It really kind of fell apart like now. And again, with the new system, the teams that actually should be invested in tier 2, because again, the metric for is this successful or not should be, are you able to place players in the pro leagues and have that be developed internally and then also externally? Like if you were like IMT went and got Kenvy, I think that's a metric of success. The fact that you're still sniping a player from that league. With them not having the incentive of knowing that it's going to save them money with those contracts in the long term, like in a sense, it's kind of struggling to find its identity of what it is. And I really feel that the metric for this just shouldn't be viewers. The sad part is that Cadril and Los Ratones or Double Lift and the airport playing is actually going to give these players more exposure than like what we could ever hope for. So in a way, it does help. And if they're competitive, that's great too. It does help. But I feel like the identity for tier 2, it should not be what are the numbers, what are the viewers, like does this make money? That is nice. It's perks. But the real mission for it, again, should have been to make sure that the talent pool exists for the tier 1 teams. And when they don't have a stake in it, then it really is up to these content creators to come in and actually save the league, save face. I mean, we had this with Toast and DSG joining NACL. It was huge for us. We saw it with Los Ratones now. We're probably going to see it with Double Lift in the airport as NACL starts this upcoming week. I just feel like that's great, but it shouldn't be the goal of it. And with the changes that Riot made, they're really relying on these saviors of the people that have been longtime pros and want to get back invested and get back involved to actually make this work in the long haul, which is going to be really interesting. But I don't think that it's actually it helps get exposure on it. And like looking at the player, I can't pronounce the jungler's name for those Ratones, like Vihil or whatever.
Velia.
Yeah, Velia. Thank you, Raz. Like obviously it's great for him. It's great for other people in the leagues that are going up against this team that is clearly really good. And won the league, deservedly so. It's not like that's a bad thing. But if you look at what the players are being paid top down and how healthy it is to actually sustain yourself, trying to put the time and effort that it takes to go pro in this game, I think the system is worse overall now than what it was back then, even with the broadcast or like the tournament itself, probably making money because they had this one singular team be involved. So I think that the goal of this, like kind of the question you're asking, is where tier 2 is actually trying to find their footing in terms of what works. Because it's clear that the teams didn't want to support the business model in the West, and they couldn't afford to. And so now it's like, it is really relying on these content teams to try and save it. And I don't think that this is the best ecosystem to develop pros. I think that it's a lot harder to do so now than it was 3 years ago. Even if you see like you're actually watching it now where other people are tuning in. So it's really a mixed bag.
So sounds like the sort of the premises or the summary is like, ironically, even though viewership is going to be better, the development opportunities are going to be worse because of the sort of changes that have been made.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the most annoying part. The most annoying part is Academy was actually very good for development.
Yeah.
Just flatly. Like, you had players who are in office with the teams that were in LCS. They had the same like eyes on scrims and environment. They were like in person with coaching for the main team if they had time, but obviously they had their own academy coach. But
that's a great metric, by the way. Like remote now versus in person, because it's just a different world. You know?
Yeah, completely different. Because you're forced to see your own player play. Whereas right now, if you're a head coach for an LTA team, like what incentive do you have to watch like tier 2 games? You're focused on your own thing. Like GM's the same a lot of the times now. They're just looking for LCK tier, like in Korea. Like it's much harder to look at and advocate for players in tier 2 if they're not on your team. It's sad as sad as it is. Like, you are forced to see talent when they are in your damn office space and when you have to actually accrue them. I do think in Academy, though, a lot of teams like really fucking sucked at making that system work and didn't really know what to do with it, didn't even try. TSM was the easy one. IMT's gone. They're the easy one. Like to really point out and say you don't know what you're doing with this system. Like Dignitas was pretty bad for a while, honestly. Honestly, it was team to team. Right now, the way I see it, I kind of like what tier 2 is becoming in the sense of like, it is what each team makes it, right? Everyone's qualifying for their own reason. Obviously, they want to make it to tier 1 and take the guest slot. But like, you're right. There's the content team of near airport. They want to make it to LTA, but that's the most confusing part is when they do. But like, the players are probably not going to want to commit. They literally said they don't want to commit. So I don't know what's going to happen there. And I doubt they're even going to be the most successful team there. Whereas there are other teams like, for instance, Dark Zero, Dragonsteel and also you can make the case for Winthrop. They're like collegiate teams, but at the same time, competitive teams. So you're going to school, you're working on your own kind of like long-term.
Yeah, they qualified for the league. That's great. Yeah.
Exactly. So like, it's great for them to be able to make the decision while they're in school of whether they want to commit or if they want to just, take their classes and get their degree. Like every team has its own path, and I think that's entertaining. So to answer it long term, I think long term, what I would love to see is there has to be some kind of like co-streaming or content pipeline, like you mentioned, like near airport gives eyes, and this is to the college point, like we haven't really heard from the other players. Well, guess what? At some point, they're going to get their shit kicked in. Probably going to happen in Supernova, and you're going to be able to get people clamoring for Shogo, who's been a fucking great AD carry that hasn't been in tier 2. Like, that's honestly a great time for him to show his face. Like, Music is another player that people will learn about when, he pops off. Like, there are a lot of players, like, that I'm looking at on my side screen, but those are the 2 players that I've actually mentioned. But like, for instance, Yuji, Zamudo, all these guys, like, when they end up showing success in the higher viewership games, then you have advocates that said, son of a bitch, just kick this guy's teeth in. Like, Speak had a bad game here, or, maybe your part 1, but it wasn't a stomp. Like, players and fans will be created based off those type of games. And then, for instance, if you now are challenging for a guest slot, I don't really like the system, to be honest. The fact that DSG just has to challenge for it every
DSG
year.
No matter what. They could fucking win worlds and play for their slot. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I looked at, I can't find it now, but I saw what that format would look like, because I guess it was on Leaguepedia. I didn't know it was public. I was like, that's a fucking hard format for DSG to fight their ass off.
You have to win a lot of games. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm like, holy shit.
It's scary.
So I don't know. I don't really like the fact that there's no safety net for the team that's in the guest slot at all.
Yeah, and I like what you're saying, Raz. Like, this is the frustration that I have, because again, like however you perform against those Ratones or near airport, like that is going to have an impact on how you are viewed by fans, just because of how many more eyeballs are going to be on that.
Yeah.
But then like in a way, that's better for the players. But then you look at the process of how the players are getting there. What do they used to be? You're on California minimums. You're in the team house. Like, you're able to get access to coaching, to everything. What is it now? You're playing remote, and if you're lucky, you're getting more than 1K a month. Like, that is, you have to do other things around that, like go to school or get jobs. And by the way, if you're an aspiring pro now, and you're not looking to get a scholarship to do this, then I think that you are wasting your time just doing this straight up. Like, you are delaying your life for what? Like, the $1,000 a month is not worth it, right? So like, the process to actually become a pro is just so much harder now. And I feel like it's really easy for people to sit at home and be like, oh, great, you weed out the people that aren't serious. Like, I know a lot of people that are really fucking serious about this that can't do this anymore because of like how it's shrunk, right? That like they're at the point of life where they can't grind it out like this. So I think it's really just still a mixed bag, because in a way, like, I think fan perspective, it feels better. But again, if you remove the big creators that are doing this, it's way worse. Like, there's really no way around that, right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, what always pisses me off is when you have a great system. This happens a lot, by the way. You have a great system. There are key problems to it. Like, for instance, when we had the academy system, a lot of teams didn't know how to fucking use it properly. And then when they were succeeding off of it, didn't really recognize the success that they were getting off of it. Like, as you mentioned, you were using the JoJo Pian example. I was like, a lot of players that were successfully developed replaced players that had $1 million contracts. That is the success for your program. That is literally the success for your program. And then I forget what the other point was going to be, but like that. Oh yeah, and the fact that the teams didn't fail it. It's like that was a good system. Oh, and the last one was like the last problem, of course, was like ballooning contracts, like contract buyouts was a big issue.
Yeah, buyout
in
was
Academy.
bad.
If we solved that,
Yeah,
that was a nice system.
It was great.
But then the community bought into the idea of like, you know, they're making free paychecks, like fucking kill the system kind of thing. Like I was like, the moment you have a few problems that you can really tweak and you can just be sending your criticisms to the right parties, people just want to blow shit up. I was so mad about that.
I mean, also like the problems you just listed were problems of their own creation. The like free paychecks, it's because like at the start of it, they weren't cycling in and out new players. It was the same pool that would just move around teams, and like they weren't taking risks on new people, right?
Yeah.
Like the first, you know, scouting grounds draft class that had like Halifax, Vulcan, Blabber. There were a lot of good players that came out of there, and like some of them got a lot of extra time to figure it out. Some of them made it big right away, right? But that was like really the first new batch of people we saw come into the league. They didn't really cycle people out ahead of that. And then also buyout jail. The market is completely set by the owners. So like these are two problems that they made because they had like a lot of money and actually didn't know what to do with a fucking slot. The teams that did know what to do with the slot, like EG, 100 Thieves, and then a lot of those same people like went to EG and also like FlyQuest, right? TL, like what they built. Those orgs were really strong when they made good use out of the slot. Like there were years where C9 won both LCS and NACL, right? So I really feel like if you used it, it was a system that worked. It was good to have people like in the building that were living the life of being a pro and grinding it out and getting everything they could. But yeah, like that you had the teams that didn't use it well, and they're like, oh look, we're spending all this money and we can't make money off of it. Well, yeah, because you didn't use the fucking slot well, and then they've done nothing since then. So it's
I don't want us to
yeah
sort of cycle on this because I know we've gone through it over and over again. As I say that, I will throw out the one thing which I always find so ironic was that whenever they were getting rid of this, I'll always remember Steve in a press conference being like, you know, the system just wasn't bringing in good talent. And then I think about that anytime like I'm watching MSI and Yod is popping off internationally.
So
it's
many
like the
good players,
best performer on their roster. It's just like it's so funny. Okay, so we've talked. I know that, and we tend to do this a lot lately because I think it's kind of where we're all at. We're kind of focusing on what went wrong. I want us to chat a little bit about like what are some of the solves here. Okay, so let's say Riot's not going to just like be like, never mind, guys. Now all the teams are forced to get their tier 2 system back. What changes could Riot make that would help solve some of the tier 2 stuff, or maybe like further ride the wave of these creator and influencer teams like LR and like NA or near airport? And I do want to just really ask, is there a world, Cubby, you think, where like it would make sense for Riot to allow teams to somehow promote a tier 2 team in but not be able to hold on to the roster? Because I do agree that now there's kind of like we went from a world where all the teams were incentivized and in fact required to maintain a tier 2 team to a point now where it's like actually if you're an NAT or an LTA team and you have a tier 2 team, players probably don't want to actually join your roster because there's a good chance that they can't promote because you're not able to. So like is there a world where we should just like let those, like at the very least, if you control a tier 2 team, we kind of bring back the old school farming system? I don't know who you could sell it to now.
Do it. I mean, I'm sure Jack would be back in if you could farm the slot. Like, why not? I mean, I think like some people like had a problem with that. I had no problem with that, frankly. Like you look at some of the teams that have been built too. I mean, they're kind of built to farm the slot. Like Luminosity Gaming is literally the LCS reject squad. And they're fighting for an LTA slot. I think that's kind of fun. So I have absolutely no problem with that. I think you bring back farming the slot, and then you go and try and pitch to all these content creators to join the league, and hopefully you can boost everyone's numbers. Like Los Ratones got like Rudy followed up, and then who was Santorin's team? Like Nord Esports, right? So personally, like I think that's the wombo combo you do. If it's going to be like a league where you want content creators, then yeah, put them in there and then let everyone compete in that ecosystem. I think that the biggest thing for me is just trying to get the LCS team or LTA North teams, and the LCA South teams too, get them involved, because there are teams that want to have their hands on talent and help mold them. Usually that talent is put in a good spot and they have access to more resources and more talented people that are already doing this for a living. And so I think that like any way that would incentivize those teams to hop back in, I would love to see that. I think that's big.
Yeah.
My solution, I think, is pretty simple. I've said this. I was afraid when we went from 10 teams to 8 team, and we're like, we're gonna get to 10 teams soon. I was like, are we? I believe firmly that we are a region that we can conjure up enough players for 10 teams in our league. And the reason why I think it's valuable is if you have an extra guest slot, then guess what? Now there's some safety net of being like a guest team, as in this case, like this guy's Toast's team. As much as we have a sentiment win, that the fact that they're in, it's going to be a fucking massive sentiment loss when they have to go through the gulag and they probably lose going through the next guest slot. And even though we're thinking about this from a perspective of Disguised and we believe that Disguised is one of the worst teams, think about the LTA South. I'm pretty sure their guest slot is Jose Dioto's team. That was first.
Yeah, you are not wrong.
They're a first place team in their league, and they're going to have to battle it out in the promotion tournament. How fucked up is that? In that
Are
same
they the
system?
guest slot or are they the LATAM spot?
I mean, LATAM is also guest. Let me double check, though. Just
It's
to be
well, they're two
completely
different
confident.
things. So there's like the LATAM spot, and then like the guest slot can
So
get
they're the guest
relegated.
slot.
I think the
Isra Estral is the guest slot.
okay.
So
That's crazy.
for us, it's like, yeah, they were, not that competitive. But it was always going to be a fear that what if they're fourth or third? They could like at some point we're gonna have a guest slot that comes in that's like pretty competitive. Maybe go to Worlds, like top 3.
Yeah.
I mean, technically top 2. Fuck it. But anyways, like
Yeah.
that's a reality for Brazil.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
fucking insane. We have enough for 10 teams. Maybe the organizations, who knows? Like if there's like 2 more good organizations, but I think the guest slot, as great as it is a win, the moment you start to see real problems in it, like that's gonna be a problem that everyone is gonna be shitting on.
How would you
Yeah.
solve Raz? Because I like the idea of us having 3 guest spots, especially because it feels like there's a chance for more people to get in and all that sort of stuff. But how would you solve the problem where like now we're in a best of 3 world, which we'll talk about I'm sure later on in the show, and whenever you have 8 teams, best of 3 matches fit very conveniently and neatly into 2 broadcast days every week. But whenever you have 10 teams, you now have 5 matches a week, which does not fit cleanly into 3.
Well,
That's
now
my
you're
only
going into
concern.
logistics, and right now the Globe has some weirdly, really fucked up like format systems. We're going to be talking about the NALTA format system. It's pretty confusing. The LPL system is also fairly confusing. They also have a system in which the bottom 2 teams after this split will not compete in the next split. So like your world's chances will just die in split 2 in spring.
That's the
quote, unquote.
LPL one?
You're not-
I
you're not
actually didn't
playing
know
for
that. That's
LPL one.
crazy.
So like there's so many convoluted and kind of crazy formats that I don't think is a problem. I don't want to go into the logistics technically. Like,
yeah. I mean, I think that if you actually wanted to do more teams, I think that you would have to sign up for like remote broadcasts or multi-broadcasts or online play, which frankly I'm okay with to an extent. But
I think at the
that's a
moment we
valid
start doing
question.
online play, it opens
you know what,
Riot to do more and more online play. I feel like that's the beginning of
Travis? You know where
Okay.
I'm going at.
the
Yeah.
slide
You
starts.
probably know
there.
where this is going. Best of ones are not that bad. Like at the end of the day, look.
Whereas we're gonna
From
get
a
canceled,
teams for
okay?
best of 1s or 8 teams for best of 3s.
Dude,
that's a valid
you
question.
can't say that right now, okay?
It's fearless.
It's
it's
not
fearless.
Best of
safe.
ones are not that bad. Look, for me as a worker and a fucking hardcore, like I love best of 3s as somebody that like can create more content in between games, before games, all that stuff, because there's gonna be more time, right? From us on the desk or something. And also as somebody that loves League of Legends, more games is always great. Unironically, for viewership, best of ones are better. That's just how it is. Like I think at this point it's accepted. Number 2, people really loved Spring Split last year, best of ones, because guess what? That was pre-recorded drafts. We got into the games fucking quickly. Like that was the timing in which like
7-minute
the
breaks.
co-streamers and we didn't have that much of a break. We just went from game 1 like short break, game 2 short break, game 3 short break. Everyone was fucking happy about that. There was a weird period in LEC where they tried it and people were like, but the competition, and then that died quickly when people actually just genuinely liked it. So it's like there is a case for best of ones. There is. You can do whatever the hell this split is, where it's like best of ones start into best of threes. Also LTA did. I mean, LEC last split also did like 3 weeks best of ones into like their weird group stage, knockout stage into. So once again, like the formats, we have a billion weird ass formats that can allow for 10 teams. So I don't mind.
I think that what you're doing right now is very brave.
I just said it's not
Because
that bad. I have a preference.
I
but
worry that people are
yeah.
going to come after you.
That's fine.
It is, dude. Like the fearless best of 3 mob is so strong these days that it's you honestly, Raz. It might have been safer for you to be like, I don't think we should have brought Hextech Chess back. I think that's I think that's about almost as dangerous what you just said.
I mean, I made my case. Like A, viewership. Everyone's already going crazy for viewership, and then B, I talked about what they actually liked about best of one specifically, but no one really tied pre-recorded drafts to best of ones. They always would be like, well, we can. Oh, I guess we can't bring it into best of threes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's at least we're not doing what LPL is doing, because now Sean has reminded me of this. Oh my god, the LPL is disgusting. They have a 33-minute game into a 33-minute break into the game 2, which is another 30-minute banger. Actually, the longest breaks I have ever seen in my life. Actually, crazy that they allowed that to happen.
I'm casting tonight. Can't wait. Gonna be up till 7 a.m.
That's actually so crazy.
Oh my god, the breaks are as long as the games. That is insane that they're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm done. Yeah, that's it.
All right. This call has gone really long, but there's one thing that came out today that I do have to just mention to you, Cubby, that you're aware of as it relates to this conversation. Parth put out a pretty long article. I saw you. I think you were tweeting it or whatever. I think relevant to this conversation. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that article was and how maybe it relates to this?
Yeah, he's talking about how there's an org called Dark Zero. They partnered with Maryville.
I think Parth has a relationship with them, to my understanding.
Yeah, so my understanding with Dark Zero and that is that the partnership actually, they're not technically NCAA, but it does provide the players a stipend, so more money. And also they pretty much just get to say, hey, it's Maryville times Dark Zero. We're going to use Dark Zero for the name. And then you're partnering with the college. I personally, I very much feel like if you are a 18-year-old that wants to go pro in League of Legends, there's absolutely no point in taking a gap year and trying to do this full time or stream. Go find a scholarship if you are good enough, or lucky enough to do so, and try and go to a college. Don't delay your education and do this. And I think that what Parth is seeing is because orgs aren't able to afford, giving people the pro experience. The closest thing that you can get to it is actually these colleges where, they have arenas, they have coaches, they have these systems built in that now orgs can kind of partnership, maybe work on making a little bit better, give them a few extra resources. But a lot of the infrastructure there that orgs are refusing to invest in already exists in colleges. So that's really the thesis of like Parth's post, and is worth checking out. So I do think that colleges, especially like if games and teams within these games they aren't able or are not willing to invest to have more than one team or support more players on the side, then I actually do think that this is the best solution and the best way that you can actually even. This can be a long conversation, but I very much agree with Parth on this. So yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, I know we've talked for a long time, Rudy. I know that hopefully you haven't had your face pressed against the laptop screen the entire time, but anything that we said here that has sparked some thoughts in you?
I am just worried, as Raz had mentioned, that if this manages to pick up steam, especially with near airport being able to put, correct me if I'm wrong, Cubby, but they have it's like a single round robin and then playoff. So like every team has one chance to play against New Airport. So every team has like a 5 seconds of fame. Right now, our ecosystem, at least in North America, does not have the bandwidth to support any of the talent that really like shines in their moment. At least with EU, they have a very big tier 2 scene. Like with Los Ratones, like yeah, they won EU Masters, but they're going back to NLC, and like Los Ratones as a brand has the ability to be able to pick up and roster swap if they want to, and then if like any other teams like see people that Los Ratones like put eyes on, then like these players have homes that they can potentially go to. But I look at NA and it's just like not the same thing. And so like something like this, these content teams just seem like a very big like equivalent to an influencer coin. Like the hype could just be so very high and then just drop immediately. Like if Near Airport decides to leave next year, and that could be really bad if like these prospects have their 5 seconds of fame, their moment to shine, and then the eyes just disappear and their names just fade into oblivion. And I would hate that for everyone.
Yeah. Well said, I believe. Is there anything else that you would like to shout out here at the end of the call?
Thank you guys for trugging along, putting out content, and Cubby, good luck casting.
Thank you.
Good luck casting tonight.
We're gonna pray for no breaks. I always give breaks though.
God.
All right. Well, thanks, Rudy, for the call. We're going to. Sorry for everyone that we took a very long call on that, but I think it was a conversation worth having. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to go ahead and mute over on Discord so that Cubby and Raz can't break through, and we're going to take a quick sponsor break. I've got this video that I've prepared, and we can all watch it.
He doesn't trust me.
I like to maintain sponsor relationships in this trying esports winter time.
This video is brought to you by PrizePicks, the best place to win cash while watching your favorite esports or sports. So I'm going to show you right now how this works on the app. It's super easy to use. So maybe I like Jojo Pyun at more than 9.5 deaths over the first 3 games of his series. And maybe I believe Mickey X is going to get less than 31 assists. I'll go ahead and hit finalize lineup, where it'll show me that if both these things end up coming true and I play an entry fee of, let's say, $20, I'm going to end up winning $60. PrizePicks is available in over 40 states, including California and Texas. And if you sign up, use that link below. It's a big thing that you can do to help me. You can use code Travis whenever you make your first lineup of $5 or more. Win or lose, they're going to give you $50. Now, please only choose to play PrizePicks if you can do so responsibly, but doing so and signing up does help my channel very much. And you can actually join the discussion with other TGI viewers in my Discord. We have a PrizePicks channel. If you're trying to get into it, that's a great place to start. So thanks so much to PrizePicks for sponsoring this piece of content.
All right, so we're back. I do want to just continue to say thank you so much to PrizePicks for sponsoring. They've been really fun to work with, and I think a lot of people in our Discord have been really enjoying it. Obviously, there's been a bit of a break in games, but as we get back into stuff in LTA this coming week, you can go join the PrizePicks channel on my Discord where you'll see people talking about it. The other thing is that I know that they offer, for instance, some opportunities to play like Los Ratones games. I don't know if they're going to have Near Airport or not, but I hope so. I mean, if they do have some Los Ratones stuff, then maybe they'll have some Near Airport stuff. So, but they also have LPL, for instance, right now. They've got Top Esports and FPX and all sorts of different stuff. So thank you so much, PrizePicks. If you have any questions, you can always join my Discord, which is just discord.gg/Travis. You'll find people in the PrizePicks channel, and they'll answer questions and help you out. There's some people posting their wins and their losses, which is always kind of fun. I think it's neat to see what crazy lineups people are able to make that win, and also perhaps you'll get a little bit of solace whenever you see somebody's big loss, if that's the case. So thanks to PrizePicks for sponsoring the show. Raz is back just in time for the end of the ad. Really good timing. Did you go pick up food? Is that what that was, Raz?
I've got some cheese, Gromit. I've got some cheese.
All right, we're going to move on. We've got a caller coming up here in
Yeah.
just a second. Cubby's going to go grab them.
Yeah.
Thank you to Mohica 100 for the 25 months. Says, where will the LTA semifinal play at? Do you know the city? Nope, I don't. Riot doesn't disclose information about events that happen in the same year until it's 5 minutes before. I guess that is one thing we didn't mention. Oh, I'll wait till Cubby's back so you can hear me say this. But Nuclei, thank you for the 57 months. Jordasaur, thank you for the Prime, 11 months. If you're watching live, you can move your cursor over the screen. A little purple crown will pop up. Twitch likes to hide that new Prime sub, or likes to hide the Prime sub situation. So don't let Twitch win. Hover your cursor over the screen, get that purple crown. That way they can find out if you have a Prime sub available. We didn't mention, by the way, Cubby, I forgot about this at the start of the show. We now know the exact venue for Vancouver. It's being played in the Pacific Coliseum, which is where I think it was spring finals in 2017. It's kind of an older venue. It's kind of further out from the city, which is a little disappointing, but I'm not surprised by it. I think it is a big venue, though, which is kind of neat because oftentimes we've seen these international events take place in small arenas, at least until the finals, so it's pretty cool. All right, we have Azikiel here. Azikiel, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the sewers of Minnesota.
The sewers of Minnesota. Are they
The Ninja
frozen
Turtle.
over? I would assume they would be.
What was that?
Are the sewers frozen over? Isn't it cold in Minnesota? That's what Drew tells me. He's from Minnesota.
I mean, it is literally freezing right now. So yeah, everything's frozen.
Yeah. All right. I figured. Well, hopefully you're staying warm. What do you want to talk about on the show?
We burn the garbage. So my take is that the reason why near airport and the Los Ratones are so pog is because not they're streaming the scrims, but because of the stakes of watching them, or the stakes for the players rather. So like, I'm personally really excited to see near airport try and play in the NACL because, I mean, I would say if a group of former pros, which is basically what near airport is, can't win NACL, it'd honestly be kind of embarrassing. I don't mean to like sound super harsh, but like, well, I only mean embarrassing insofar as I think that people would expect more. People would think that if they were trying their hardest, if they weren't doing their 2 days of scrims a week, that they could do better than that. And I mean, it's the same thing for Los Ratones. Like, I mean, I've heard a lot of people say before, like, Nemesis would be the second best mid in LEC to Caps. And so, like, I think that's put a lot of pressure on the players to perform well. And I mean, you saw, like, when they, like, had some bad games, people were, like, really harsh on them. And I think that makes there be a lot of pressure, which the viewers like as well. Like, they like knowing that the person that they're watching, like, feels the need to win the games that they're playing.
Or else you get to flame the fuck out of them, right?
Because it's a win-win. It's either you get to flame the fuck out of them, or you get to see something epic happen. You get to see.
Oh man, yeah.
You had to go
all
the Ruddy arc, which was basically what you're talking about, of the disappointment of not being able to move on in the tournament, like the failure aspect. So you got hate watchers and you got people who love the players and love it and want to see the success. So it's good on both ends. You're right.
So you're saying like stream scrims is a red herring that like everybody keeps talking about stream scrims and that maybe those are cool, but that's not the reason people care. It's actually because of the threat of shame that might fall on these players.
Yeah, I mean, it might sound kind of doomer, but I mean, like, another way to put it is it's just the same thing you guys always talk about with what the pros need to do in terms of doing content, that they need to make a narrative. And like, I think like that's kind of what Los Ratones is. It's Reckless coming back after having all these struggles, trying to perform well in the LCK. He struggled a lot there, and he's coming back now, and he really wants to show that he can perform at an LEC level. And people want to see him play in the LEC again. He needs to, if he wants to ever have a chance at doing that, he needs to be able to perform in EMEA, surely. I mean, like, you can't say that these guys, if they can't win EMEA, why are they going to get back into the LEC?
So what are your thoughts about Rudy Sack then?
I mean, I think that that's the biggest danger for near airport. I thought their viewership for their games was not nearly as good.
We should say, by the way,
is viewership the metric for success or no? Okay, sorry, Travis.
I'm talking about what's getting the viewership. That's kind of like the main part of my take.
Travis. getting
I was
after
just going to say,
Evros.
because I think a lot of North American fans might not know about this. So I think people do know that Los Ratones is like Cadrill's team, and they won this past week and all this stuff. Ruddy Sack was another team, which I think Dom was involved with, and a couple other people.
Yeah, it was like Dom Yankos, leader,
Yeah.
and Not Wonder. They had a different hums.
And that team,
Perks was playing
Remember
top.
Don Jake is like the original owner of Ruddy Sack. So like,
Yes.
well, Ruddy. The Sack part is where the Sack comes in.
it would be like if
obviously, for your
TGI
motto.
formed a team with like Apollo involved and Meteos and people like that, and then
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then it ended up I guess. So what happened with that team is I guess they kind of bombed out, and I know
Mhm.
what's very funny is Double Lift does a lot of, in all of his conversations about near airport, goes is like, we don't want to be Ruddy Sack, we don't want to be Ruddy Sack, we're actually going to try, we want to be good. So you kind of have these two extremes of potential outcomes for the personality teams, where on one end you have Los Ratones, which like huge success, ended up winning tons of popularity, people are really interested in it. Then you have Ruddy Sack, which like people look at as sort of the failed version of this. And so I think that's a context that people in North America need to have. So not to cut everybody off, but I wanted to share that. So
Yeah.
what about for Azikiel, what are your thoughts on near airport? Because you're talking a lot about like the folks on Los Ratones are trying to like prove themselves and show that they can be in the LEC, etc. It doesn't feel like that is necessarily the narrative for near airport. So
For sure.
do you have any concerns around that?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I heard like them talking about how they're only planning to do the 2 days of scrims a week, I think that's kind of concerning, because I think it's not that there's less stream content coming out, but I think that really what kills Ruddy Sack is when their players start saying stuff like, "Oh, well, we weren't all in it," or like, "We didn't care that much." I think that's what immediate, like, you have to at least make the viewer think you care a lot if you want them to get invested. I think that they have to at least sound like to the viewers like this means a lot to them. And so, I mean, it's not going to be the same. They don't have the same backup of the narrative of the years of Nemesis not being able to be on an LEC team that he wanted to be on because the best teams wouldn't take him. And you don't have like the reckless narratives. But I think they need a narrative that they care, however they want to build that.
The way I take it, and just like my viewpoint of that situation, is like Ruddy did care. Their problem was that they just had a lot of players that thought they can easily go through NLC, because NLC, not gonna lie, like I might offend some people. It's
that
like
week's not
it's the
great.
fucking boonies of the ERL. Like
Yeah, it used to be a lot better than it was.
Yeah, it is the boonies of the ERL. It doesn't find any success. So like for them, they just think that, well, we're well accomplished players in the LEC a lot of the times. Like we should be able to win here. They didn't think their competition was going to be like the other NLC teams. They thought it was going to be like Los Ratones or Nord. That wasn't reality. They needed to try hard right from the get-go. They didn't know that. Like they talked about it pretty extensively, honestly. So like that is true. So I do think they cared. I think with Los Ratones, like they literally just have like a bunch of extremely accomplished LEC players, so you don't even need like Bossy to perform. You just need those other guys to get it together, and I think they had a really good organization situation. Now, to your point of like basically the narrative and caring about the players, I think people care about those players because they already have what's it called?
Yeah.
For a good portion of them, they already have the clout. They already achieved success. They already have the fandom, right? Like and for the people that didn't, they became streamers and personalities. So now you care about them. So a lot of the times, like for instance, when Hamza goes over and he actually performs pretty damn well as a streamer coming into a competitive atmosphere, like people care about Hamza because it's the question of like, well, he's now coming into a competitive environment. Can he do well versus pros? Similar to the boss, right? So the problem is that, well, it's not a problem for them, but the problem for us is like they care about those teams because they are inbuilt personality, entertainment driven, and then it goes into the competitive sphere. Whereas at least for the LTA teams or the LEC teams, they are competitive first to a fucking flaw, and then the personality is never shown. Like I'll use an example from an LEC team, like Larson or Rogue as a team. Like Larson has been in the league for a very fucking long time. Man doesn't tweet, man doesn't stream, man doesn't like show anything, right? Now I'm able to do this because I mean that's just how it is. Like, and even if he's like having hardship right now, well, guess what? Like, damn, who's wow, I'm blanking on a specific player, but like there have been players that have hard times, but have still pushed out their streams, pushed out their personalities, and you care about them regardless
Dokla.
of their exactly. Dokla is a
Yeah.
great example of him.
Yeah.
I can't believe. I don't know why I'm blanking. I'll get to the player.
I mean, even Spica now, right? Because like he didn't get an LTA spot, and he's doing this. And I think Spica said he still wants to go pro. He was the best player in OQs. I thought Spica, like, yeah, I appreciate what he's doing to try and grind his way back. You know.
Ah, there it is. Niski. Jesus Christ. Like, yes, exactly. All of what you said, but also Niski as a player has had like hardships throughout his career, like in playoffs or internationals, where like the community will flame him, right? But the guy still puts out streams. The guy still tweets regularly, like, and he has a fan base regardless of that. So like for me, caring about a player isn't as simple as like, well, we just need content team. Well, yeah, like that'll help, but also you just need to be on a team and be willing and caring about your own brand and your own kind of like thoughts. Hilariously enough, I say thoughts because like simple as just tweeting. I went through a bunch of LTA players like Twitter accounts and like the last time they tweeted was literally when they got eliminated last year.
Yeah, or like
Dude, my go-to on Twitter account shaming is FBI. That man's Twitter account is so desolate. It's actually so funny.
It's a lot of players, by the way, but yes, I've used FBI without saying his name constantly as an example. But like
I used to not say his name, but now I just don't. What's he gonna do? Make a tweet about me? You know, like yeah,
you'd be helping.
But it's literally every team. It's actually easier to name the players that do tweet and do put like, you know, themselves out there than it is to talk about the players that don't. That is like a reality, sadly. So it's just life, man. And I'm not saying you have to tweet. I'm just saying you have to do something. So to your point, going back to the caller, you would care about, I would say, a Dignitas if they had a player like Cutie Pie back in the day that just like put themselves out there, like said what the fuck was on their mind, didn't really care, streamed like halfway regularly, and just didn't care about what they were, just their authentic selves on stream. Because the amount of times I've seen a player that is like authentically, hilariously off camera, but then never show that when they're on an interview or something like that, and you're like, it is what it is. That guy is not willing to show that version of himself.
Shout out to Surdy is doing that right now on Dig. I think he's doing a good job.
Yeah.
I'd like to cut in on one thing though. Like, I don't think it's just the personality. I think a key part is for all these players that their success matters to their personality.
Mm-hmm.
That like, they'll in some way feel bad if they lose, and I think that makes viewers care a lot.
I don't know. I guess I just don't get the crux of like your argument of like, oh, like we have to make viewers care, and playing 2 days of scrims a week is going to make them care. Like, what else do these guys need to prove? I mean, again, like they've had success. They want to do this. They're going to take it as seriously as they said that they're going to take it. If you scrim 2 days a week, yeah, exactly, it is. Like if you scrim 2 days a week, you're going to be behind the best NACL teams, and that's fine. They have the experience, so they can like try and cap it. But I think, yeah, the only reason that we're interested is because they've like some of the best players we've ever seen in LCS history are playing, right? And yeah, of course, they have great personalities on top of that. I think like Raz's point is that we need to see that from more pros. The fact that these guys are playing tier 2 again, it's great. It's going to help the league a lot. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. But like I just don't think these guys owe you shit. Like the fact they're doing this is great for everyone. But and also, I think that people should be interested because like they are who they are anyway. So.
Like a small example I used on my post, which is Bwippo. Like, you care whether or not Bwippo wins or loses because he tells you why he cares whether he wins or loses. He streams, he's on broadcast. Honestly, I'm not saying like he doesn't have to stream, but like when he's on camera, on broadcast, he is very much himself in what he thinks, and he will make it very clear why he cares about winning or losing, or what he is trying to focus about himself to improve either his gameplay or something. Like he will be completely straight up and honest to you. That is authenticity, and you either love him or hate him for it. Like, there's always that roller coaster, but that's something. Like, so I think, and also I got a tweet from somebody. It's like, well, some players do try, and I forgot to respond to them because I was outside at the time, so I will respond to them. They're like, well, there's some players that do stream, and then they'll get like 20, 50 viewership. I was like, yeah, it's a combination of things. Like, if you just turn on the stream with 0 promotion, no tweets, and you do it for like a month, and it's like, that shit didn't work out, I'm going to stop trying. That is not that simple. It is not that simple. Like, me, I don't care. Like, if I make a mistake, if I fuck up, that's on me. But I trust myself to not say something stupid on social media. So, like, I tweet, I have an Instagram account. Sometimes I'll stream. I'm on this show. I say stupid shit. Travis, when was the last time you had a pro player on this show?
I reached out to a couple different folks, and I guess there's teams that are scrimming tonight until 8, so that was part of the issue. But yes, it is very, very difficult to get pros on this show. I am frequently reaching out to people, and I just kind of give up.
And Monday's an off day. I'm just saying, like, there are things you can do that is easier for your life. That doesn't mean you have to, like, stream every day on, like, you know, scrim days. But that's all I'm saying. Sometimes I'll go onto a hotline league. This is just me. Now I'm just going to be honest with Travis here. Sometimes I'll, like, when Travis asks me, I'll look at the Discord and be like, am I doing something today? The answer is sometimes no. It's like, the other option is just relaxing because I just came out of a broadcast day or a week. I'm like, but also the broadcast week, I didn't really get a chance to show, like, my personality or, like, basically come out there and say what I think about something. I will use that. It's not hard. It's a 2-hour show, and you get to, like, express yourself and connect with the community more. That's a small example. But yeah, some players are great at that.
Yeah, I do wish I got. It's difficult because I can't really complain about people not coming on the show because, much like all the LTA stuff, viewership is down, and I feel like if I do that, people will just be like, maybe they don't want to go on your shitty show, Travis. But it is like it's disheartening when there was a point in time where it felt like at least 50% of the time we could get a pro player on, and nowadays it just feels like I don't know. Obviously, there are circumstances, right? Like, I reached out to FlyQuest, and Team Liquid, and both had scrims going on tonight. But, like, last week, I reached out to a team, I won't say who, and they're like, yeah, our pros just don't want to. So it's difficult. But, you know, nobody's forced to come on the show. But it would feel better if I felt like there were a bunch of players going on other shows, or, I mean, maybe it would feel worse for me, but I'd feel better holistically about everything if I felt like they were doing all this type of stuff, and it's difficult. So
yeah.
But I know this whole conversation kind of started with the streaming scrim stuff. I don't think we have a take in the pipeline right now about stream scrims, and so maybe we should just extend this one out a little bit. I know you pulled another person, Cubby. I don't know if that was a stream.
We don't have a take for stream scrims.
Okay, let's do it. We can talk about it.
Yeah. And by the way, before we move on to that, Azikiel, I just want to make sure you have space to address anything that we've said so far.
I mean, the one thing that stood out to me was Cubby said they don't owe us anything. I hope I don't come across like I think that any of these players owe viewers anything. The near airport doing stuff to try and entertain people, they don't owe people anything for sure. I hope that's not how I come across. I'm speaking to what I think is like if you're trying to get the hundreds of thousands of viewers that Los Ratones is getting, that is not easy to do, and it takes a lot of massive confluence of factors for that.
You're not going to build what, like, someone else just like dropped a take about this, like, in chat. You're not going to build what they did, and you're not going to win how they did. Like, no one's bigger than Cajal right now. The odds that they win the league are much lower than what Los Ratones' odds were for winning NLC. I think it's cool. Like, again, they want to compete. They're good enough to do so. They've obviously proved that at a much higher level in the past. I think it's badass, you know? Like, why not? If they want to do it, then hell yeah, let's go. Yeah.
So the stream scrim stuff.
Yeah.
I saw a Reddit thread, I think today, maybe it was yesterday, that said, like, Los Ratones gave us Pro View for free. Did you guys see this one?
I did, yeah.
I think...
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think it is really cool to see that revolution that's kind of taking place. And, look, this year has been a struggle for me because, last week I think we talked a little bit about like, is Fearless as competitive as, I don't know, professional as a non-Fearless draft mode. And for a long time, I was of the, if you want to call it competitive integrity, if you want to call it something else, I was of the opinion like, this is not great. And I think similarly around the stream scrim stuff, like I think it is a little weird to just be like, hey everyone, here's all the footage of our practice environment. And obviously there are degrees of this stuff, right? Like when FlyQuest and TL did their, or no, C9, right? That did their kind of grudge match, rematch, stream scrim thing. Like that's, that was a one-time thing that week versus streaming all the scrims or whatever. But I do think this is the type of thing where it is really neat to see it sometimes, and we've only seen it happen once in North America so far. So I'm hoping that we get to see more of this stuff. And yeah, I'm very curious to see if it gets picked up more, because I think stream scrims have been really cool. And like, you are correct, Azikiel, that like it is like the hype is less about the stream scrims and less because of that, and it is more because of the players that are there and the narratives that are there. So that is absolutely accurate. But I do think that it gives people an authentic look behind the scenes of the teams that are competing. And quite frankly, we just don't get authentic looks anymore. Like, I don't want to go too far into it, but obviously like the docu-series, like they got to a point where they all felt fairly, I don't know, fake, disingenuous, like neutered.
We do have a take about what TL put out after First Stand, by the way.
Yeah. Well,
that was
we
pretty
won't need to
authentic.
go down that too much, but like, yeah, there's been all this. There's been a lack of true access to the players and authenticity in a way that like people had whenever things were super cool. So I don't know. I think the stream stuff has been really cool.
Yeah. And I will say that I think stream scrims are good. Like, if it's one day or something, if it's like once in a while, I'm fine with it. The one thing that surprised me is like that there's a push to do this where, and FlyQuest is probably like not the best example because they're the team that actually I think are pretty good when it comes to getting their players out there. Like, I know what Inspired thinks. I know what Blippo thinks. Busio streams pretty regularly. Masu needs to probably get a little bit better at that. But Busio also, like during the regular season, I think streams pretty frequently, and also tweets. Like, even though some of his tweets are now just turning into thirst like picks or something, like, hey, do what you gotta do. All right,
he's yoked, man. He's gonna show it off. Yeah,
that's true. So like, they're not the example in this case, but my thing is, look, there are a lot of teams that have not tried the first like 5 steps, which I've kind of already said, so I'm not gonna hit that constantly in terms of getting your players out there, because like streaming, tweeting, like a YouTube channel. I remember this is what like really still got a lot of fans for Afromu, even like in the later stages of his career, was that he had a Discord channel for his community. He had a YouTube channel that he still pushed. He still streamed, even though it was like less frequently in the past. Like, that will still get you a community that like knows who you are, loves you, personality, all that stuff, right? And I'm just saying something like that. My fear is that there's going to be a team that like, I'll probably bully Lion here randomly. I'll say right now, because Lion's a team that I'm expecting to be like on the bottom of in the league, and not a lot of people know their players well, and I'm not sure what their social strategy is going to be. And I don't think, like for instance, some of their players are going to stream or really be easily accessible, so you don't know who their players are. They just start streaming their scrims. It'll be amazing for the first week, or maybe the second week, and it's going to get normalized. People are not going to watch because they realize that, like, well, I don't really care about their players and their journey. That's the fear, because you have to get your players out there in other ways to make it as authentic as possible. Yes, Satan sent a stream pretty frequently, but to be fair, that was during their off season, which was very long, and that happens a lot. So I'm talking about mostly streaming during the season itself. So like, anyways, yeah, I think stream scrims are good. It has to be, in my opinion, an addition to other things rather than doing it on its own.
Yeah. I don't know much else to add. Teams have to do more than just stream scrims, but I think that at this point, it's like, why the hell not? I don't know like what you're hiding. And also, if you want to actually hide stuff, then you can only share, you can mute stuff, and that's okay. I watched all OQs where I was off player POVs and they were all muted for draft, and that's fine. Like I really enjoyed watching the pro views because like, oh, like this team's talking about good stuff or bad stuff. Like I was watching Manui, shout out to him. He's an AD that just role swapped the support. He's always really vocal. He had a couple bad games, a couple stinkers. Like they dropped into the lower bracket early. They came back and like had a couple really nice games in the back half and made some good and bad plays in that. Like that was interesting content for me to just like be able to talk about, and people enjoyed being on the player POVs instead of just the main broadcast. I was a co-stream. You can find that broadcast elsewhere, right? So, yeah, it's I if anything, I think that like the biggest thing I want to see is players able to stream official matches and their own POV.
Ooh, yeah.
Like 5-minute delay it. I do not care, but bring ProView back. I remember in college, I paid for one ProView and my entire like league team used it. We just all had it. Like we talked about that content. It was great. So
I don't know if that's allowed in the terms of service.
same computer, right? Same room. It's fine.
True.
Don't worry about it now, Riot. I don't have that email anymore anyway. So yeah, like again, we used that as a team and it was a lot of fun, and like that's good content. I wish that they would take some learnings from what's being successful and try and implement it back. If ProView wasn't good for them in terms of money or scalability, then with some of these tier 2 leagues especially, let them stream. Like it's so easy to press the stream button. All these players are already doing it anyway. Like it'd encourage more people to maybe stream too. I think it'd be great.
Yeah. I remember some of my dude when I was on. I'm a bit of a Twitch gremlin. That's fine. Yeah. I'll just go from like stream to stream to stream. And some of the streams that I really enjoyed, this was like beginning of last year. I don't remember when. I was like, oh, this is music, and he's streaming his. I don't know if it was like a collegiate tournament or something, but he was obviously streaming not a scrim, but an actual professional event, and it was like
tryharding. Yeah,
delay. Yeah, they were tryharding. I was like, that is great content, and I think going into this split for tier 2. They're allowed to stream their scrims or their games from what it looks like. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But they talked about being able to stream their games. That's going to be probably the best aspect of tier 2 right now.
I hope so.
You get to see other people stream themselves playing live or something, and you get to really grow personalities. And maybe this is a bit delayed, but one person that I thought did a really good job of being able to blow up their own kind of like branding while not having a name and starting from scratch. I think you already typed it out, was Perry. Like Perry is probably the best example of that. So you just have to try. You have to put yourself out there. And I do think, going back to your original point, Travis, streaming your scrims are good. I don't want it to be used as a crutch. I think using it for one day is fine. I don't think it will really solve anything if you're not doing anything else.
Azikiel, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out here?
Yeah, we have Papa Smithy's tweet, which is about what you guys were just talking about. My biggest takeaway from Los Ratones' EMEA Masters run is that the team who streams scrims and comms seem to be at almost no competitive disadvantage. W tweet.
I wanted to wrap up the call.
Well,
but now
it's the same thing.
How do we know that? Maybe they could have been even better. I just think it's difficult to say that there was no competitive disadvantage when like that's not how this stuff works. It's not how you can logic it out, right? Like they could have been at a competitive advantage. I think the opinion that I would agree with, I think Papa Smithy's in the chat. Maybe he's left. Hopefully he has, and then he won't argue with me.
Oh, that's here.
I think the way I would phrase it is, my biggest takeaway is that like that was not, streaming scrims was not such a detriment that it held them back from winning. Because that's accurate, right? Like we know, for instance, we know that like despite the fact that there was a lot of footage available of these guys practicing, that their opponents were not able to take significant advantage of that. And I think there is something that is worth talking about there. Now, do I think that, tier 2 has the strength of analysts and people who can study all this and like take advantage of the extra information to the same extent that like tier 1 does? No, but like I do think that like it is a noteworthy thing that they were able to win despite showing footage of all their practice along the way.
Yeah, I agree.
It is a matter of degrees. I think I need to remind people that this team was definitely built to win EU Masters. If you have Reckless, Crowning, Nemesis on your team, and Velia obviously like became a monster, but I'm just saying this team was built to win EU Masters. They were built to. Yes.
Alst was huge. Like, yeah, that was really fun, honestly, to see him and the way that, like, just him having a style and like playing that way on the big stage was really interesting.
It was. Though last
Yeah.
few series, he was inting a little hard.
Yeah.
Especially Armut was putting it in him. But like, yes. I agree.
Yeah.
Completely.
Azikiel, thank you so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
All right, thanks.
All right, we've got 2 more calls for the night. These are some hefty calls that we're taking, which is nice. Appreciate that we're spending a lot of time on this stuff. All right, off goes Cubby.
Hold on. Well, we have Whooply in here, by the way. Whooply, who runs
know that
NACL.
person.
Since
I think
Raz
that's
wasn't
somebody
sure.
who used to go to my Magic events, but no longer does.
Yeah, true. Kind of like me. Anyway, I gotta make a return sometime. Yeah, since Raz wasn't sure, we changed our NACL policy to allow at least 1 pro per team to stream their NACL matches, or more players depending on viewership.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, I again, the pro views for tier 2 has been like really fun, so that's great. Great to hear.
Thank you, Whoopley.
Next caller.
All right, off he goes. Thank you to Nuclei for the 57 months. Oh, I did get you. And Jordasaur. But Showtime, thank you for the 11 months. Thank you to everybody who's subbing. It is very, very much appreciated. I know I'm always saying this. I'm sorry that you have to hear it all the time, but it is always very much appreciated when people sub. That is more meaningful than you can imagine whenever we get like a lot of people doing that type of stuff. Over on YouTube, thank you to everybody who becomes a member. We've only had 1 member so far of the stream, which was, Joshua, who is a member, gifted a membership, so thank you. And I9 Gaming, thank you for the $3 super chat. YouTube memberships, really great. YouTube viewers, if you're watching over there, YouTube frogs, I think that's the term that we use now, frogs. You can become a member for just $2.99. And it gets you early access to videos often. It gets you exclusive content. There's a backlog of exclusive videos that I've done that you can go watch. So please consider becoming a member over on YouTube for $2.99. You can also do this if you're not watching live, by the way. IceBreaker Mints, thank you for the 13 months. All right, we got IceBreaker. Oh, speaking of IceBreaker, he's in the chat, or he's in the call. IceBreaker, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Indianapolis, Indiana. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, before I give my take, I just want to really shout out ProView. Before I got into watching League, I watched Overwatch, the first game that came out, which was 2 tanks, so much better. That's a whole other conversation for probably a different podcast. But I bought ProView back in 2019, and that was so much fun to watch. To watch like legitimately like excellent DPS players coordinate with their team was just so fun. And obviously we couldn't hear the comms, but just to watch the pro players and all their their coordination and playing in a team environment was just super fun. So if tier 2 is looking to bring that, that I'm even more excited to watch it when it starts up.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah. But my take is that I am excited for the format for Split 2. I know it's kind of similar to things that LEC has done, but obviously that's at a much earlier time slot, so I haven't been able to watch it live. I think that with the way that this format is split up, it kind of divides itself nicely into 3 separate parts that will help kind of give a very easy narratives to establish, where we get to meet the teams in these best of ones, and then we'll move into a little bit more heavier chunk where then we get the fearless best of 3s, where these teams that we've met and have started to learn a little bit more about how they're started, especially like DSG and Lion, who we haven't seen for 3 months. They'll come out with best of 1s, we'll see how they do, and then they get to kind of continue to establish who they are in the best of 3s, and then we'll go into playoffs, and playoffs has a lot of best of 5s, which is going to be very fun and very exciting. So I'm excited to watch this split, which I was not saying 2 weeks ago.
Cubby or Raz, do one of you want to give sort of the rundown on how? I mean, I know you just kind of structured it a little bit, Icebreaker, but anything else that you guys would want to add to explain to people who haven't caught the format explanation?
You got it, Raz, or
I can do it.
Yeah.
There's going to be some confusion in my sense, but I'll make it clear when there is a sense of confusion. So for the first 3 weeks, there's going to be a positioning phase, and that's going to be a best of one
Seeding.
single round robin. So like it's going to be the seeding. But then after week 3, you will be split into 2 groups of 4 teams constructed by a snake system. And this is where my confusion is. I don't know how they construct this snake draft. Is it going to be like the top 2 teams that then pick, you know?
Yeah,
So
I
like
think
what?
top team, like they pick who's in the other group.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah.
Oh,
And then you
okay.
go.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that one, but then going into the second phase, which is yes, the single round robin, what's it called, best of 3s, fearless, and then there's going to be those 2 groups, and then they play within those groups, and then in week 7, that's when you have cross group battles and all this, and then you go into basically a seeding match, which is first and third have a seeding match from different groups going up against each other to decide seeding for playoffs. And there's going to be an elimination match, and the goal is to have 2 teams eliminated before the playoffs.
Yeah, I thought the big one was they like added the match the way that Mark said in the video, where it's an elimination best of between the bottom 2 teams of each
Yeah.
group.
Exactly.
So like yeah, which I like I like that a lot.
So
So
like
yeah.
I think in practice, once you watch it, there will be some entertainment behind it. I think the reason why I'm confused about the whole snake system part is like, if it is just the teams picking, then what's the point of the best of ones at the beginning? Like that's where if there's no stakes behind it.
Determines who gets to pick, right?
Yeah, but then wouldn't they just
Thought since it was snake, it would be the first place team goes into like group A, and then 2 and 3 go into group B, and then 4 and 5 go into group A, and
That
then
could be it
6
too.
and 7 go into B, and then 8. So you end up with the top, the bottom, and the middle teams in group A, and then like the middle,
see.
top, and
That
yeah.
makes sense. That would make sense. So like we'll see. I think throughout all of that, no matter what, the games will be exciting. They have like past that stage, unless if they're something that I don't know. I think they're going to be stakes behind them all, especially in the elimination games. The only problem I have is if I'm having troubles remembering this or knowing this is going to be a question that people will have for the entirety of the split about what the format actually is. And we're already having a problem in split 3 of like, well, explaining what that format is and having it be memorized by people. I think they're just very complicated formats, and then throughout your entire 3 weeks, 3 split system, like no one's gonna remember. So like that is a problem. But
they had some really nice graphs and charts that they used, I think, in the like announcement video, and I thought for sure they would have tweeted these out. I'm like loading it up right now. But they did not tweet them out, and they're not available on the website, so that's unfortunate because I would have liked to just grab them as JPEGs and put them on the screen. But
I think in the addresses that Mark has, they are always well explained. Like
yeah, they are. I wish that they had also separated out these graphics so that people didn't have to click into a 14-minute video to see them.
That's fair. So Yanya saying it's a bad format. No, I think it's entertaining. I think it'll be good. The problems that I have with like a group system.
Yanni's gonna if somebody said water tastes good, Yanni would be like, water is trash. No one should drink water. Like that's not. You got to.
That is true. He's a bit of a negative Andy. That happened, but I love him for that. But like, I think group systems. LPL did this. I usually hate group systems when you like, because then the one feedback you can poke is that like, oh, so the 2 best teams don't really face each other in the best of 3 until playoffs.
What we're trying to fight against
like,
is making sure.
I'm okay with it.
It's okay. And I do think at least the seeding problems will be solved with the whole seeding matches that happen, and then the elimination matches. So I think those problems are there. So it's like it'll be fine. We'll be happy with it. I think maybe not so much with the best of ones, but that gets solved quickly.
Yeah, I mean they already like the fact that they changed the format to have more fearless and they added more best ofs. I mean that's a win, right? We've had a lot of conversations on this show where we've talked about formats with callers where like sometimes we're like, hey, like this idea still fits within like the operation days they have on the schedule. Like we don't think this would be big for budget. This is one of the like first changes I've seen in a while where Riot put some extra days on the calendar, and that excites me. That's more games, right? It's more best of fives, which I think is great. So I can't really complain about, like, I have nothing to complain about in terms of the format. I think that we just got upgrades. Obviously, the very different formats is confusing for fans. Hopefully, fans are able to tune in and follow along. I understand that I am not your standard fan there, but yeah, I mean, overall, I think we got some wins. I think the most interesting thing about the announcement, I don't want to drag the conversation off this if we still have stuff to talk about, but the announcement that Split 1 next year, they're looking to have Split 1 be the same length as 2 and 3, I found very interesting. And also at least the viewership stuff. I know that some people saw the trends there, but they still don't answer what value the viewer is with all the changes with co-streaming and people watching so many different ways, which I find, for me, that's still the really fascinating stuff about the viewership, which they will not answer, but that's fine.
They talked about viewership stuff at the end, right?
Yeah, but for me, the big thing is my hypothesis is that the value of a viewer has changed since people tune in through a lot of different mediums now.
Oh yes.
Yeah. That's been avoided.
By the way, yeah. I think, Raz, that the picking opponents only happens in Split 3. I was trying to, as you said it, I thought I was getting confused in that they had added in.
Yeah, I meant the snake draft thing.
Yeah, the snake draft could be you pick who's in what group, because that traditionally has been a way to do that. So,
yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, but for those that are listening to the podcast, sorry, I did throw Mark's ranting and raving up here. I do think that Yanya, who normally makes questionable takes, has a really good one, which was, who the fuck thought hiring Mark Z as commissioner is a good idea when he can't even handle the job of picking colors in Hotline League? And honestly, I think that is a fair one. I certainly think that's fair. I sat alongside him for years and had him pick all these colors, and they're quite questionable. All right.
True. That's why he got fired from being able to pick colors. He's not doing that shit anymore.
Exactly. He had to get.
He was way meaner to the colors.
We made it sound as though it was a mutual thing to help Mark as he transitioned into his new role, but really, let's just say that I'm happy he found work. Anyway, so we're to bring it back.
I was gonna say, can I add one more thing?
Yes. This is about making fun of Mark.
Please. I'm begging.
No, I'll leave that for you.
Okay.
I just wanted to add, I think
that video.
The sleeper most awesome thing that happened is all the playoff games got upgraded to best of fives. So we will have 8 games that are best of 5 series for Split 2 playoffs, which is already more playoff games than got played between the North and the South in Split 1. There was only 7 games. 6 were best of 3s, and then we had the single best of 5 series that didn't end up actually going past 3 games. So we didn't get a single 4 or 5 game series. So whatever team actually makes it out of that bracket and goes to MSI will actually have more experience with the format and with fearless drafting, and so I can only see that as, we get more games and teams will get more experience, and I think by the time we hit that, whatever issues people have had with the best of ones in the beginning or format confusion, I have a feeling that these playoffs will be really good, and that's all people will remember from this split.
Yeah, they seem to do. Look, we were just making fun of Mark, but I do want to just point out that, especially because I know there's a lot of negativity these days. They pivoted really hard and really fast in dramatic ways in the middle of the split in a very short period of time to completely take in and address a lot of the frustrations that fans had.
Added days too. That's a big deal. Yeah.
Added days, which means that they had to add budget. I know fans don't like to think about money, and I get accused of always talking about money, but it is significant that every day they add. People do not understand that it costs a lot of money to do an additional broadcast day. So I am happy that they did this. Yeah. So I don't know. I hope that there's a lot of hype for folks on this. Now, how many of the general audience of LTA even notice that they did this? I don't know, but hopefully they'll feel it in really good ways whenever we get there. So
They're gonna, you know how they're gonna feel it, Travis, is that I think that Valorant's gonna have some games in the closet. So that's how you know that League's really making ground by who
well,
gets sent
that
to the
is one
closet,
of my
you know?
concerns, is because I do worry a little bit that, because Valorant had some closet games last split, but like I do worry about as they're changing the schedule and stuff
Did
like
they?
that. Yeah, they did.
I don't think so. I think they're having their first
Brother, I
closet
went to that
games
studio.
coming
I
up.
don't think they ever
Yeah.
went there.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're getting their first closet
No.
games coming up. Yeah,
I
Rudy
thought there was
says
a
they did not.
weekend where we okay. I
Never
guess I was
happened,
wrong
brother.
then.
I was there.
Did they not?
But
Wait, didn't they have
It will
closet games
happen.
the first week of LTA?
It never happened.
Because they started the week before us. I guess maybe they just did it like weekday matches or something like that. I was wrong. All right, whatever. Rody says they did not. Okay. Well, regardless, I do wonder if we're going to get additional closet days because of the fact that we are changing the schedule, you know. So
It's
we'll
called
see.
Face Off Arena. Thank you very much.
I mean, I'm okay with that. The fact that Valorant's going to be in the closet too is a win for that, so they're going to feel it be a win.
Have tickets
no,
gone on sale yet for? Because normally, like, if there are games next week, shouldn't we? And when I go to the news page on Law Esports for LTA stuff, it has not been updated since February 13th. There's some stuff about like from global things and First Hand and all that stuff, but I don't see any LTA news. So like, I hope those tickets are going on sale soon because like presumably this is next week.
Yeah,
I get that the people that attend are mostly like LA people, but
yeah, the only thing
Look,
that
we sell out so quickly. We can just be putting it out the day before. Is all I'm saying.
yeah, it's not great for fans to do it that way.
Okay, I don't know. I'm just talking right now. Yeah, on Cubby.
Yeah, the last thing that I'll add to this is if they make split 1 the same length as 2 and 3, I hope that they widen the international tournament a little bit. I was okay with like a 5-team tournament and a short split. I actually think it's really fun. Talking about last week how I wanted them to try a different format for split 1 again. I think that'd be a big win. I would still like that for split 1, but if it is going to be the same length as these other splits, then I hope that they include more than 5 teams in the international tournament. I think that'd be great for fans too. So
yeah, I'll just say that I noticed that the LTA schedule is not up on the homepage and ticket stuff is not on sale. Presumably some of that is because of these like schedule changes, so I kind of want to give them a little bit of leeway there, but like this shit's starting next week and you cannot go to
it should have been up.
I
have with the announcement.
I have a friend that is coming out to LA in like 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks, for that would be here for week 2 of LTA, and she's really hoping to watch some LTA matches, and I'm like, I don't know if it's in the studio or if it's in the closet or what's going on. It's kind of annoying that this has not been updated. All right, IceBreaker, thanks so much for the call. Anything that you want to shout out here at the end?
Yeah. So I actually have my Mark Zimmerman mention now. So there is a fun video of Mark singing Silver Scrapes, which happened to be at the 2017 Spring NALCS Finals, which was at the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver.
That's true.
All I'm saying is that we're going back to the Pacific Coliseum. I think Mark should have to get back on that stage and redeem himself.
Here's my concern. Right. This is a global event. And
yes.
So can you imagine how confusing this shit would be for like the LPL fans who are tuning in for the best of 5 finals against LCK, and fucking some random ass white dude from Riot Games walks on stage and starts going bee whoop whoop whoop, and like it would cause an international incident, I think.
It doesn't have to be for the finals.
Travis.
You know, if a different series goes, but honestly, put them out there. Even better, get all the commissioners. Get all of them to do it at the same time. Nothing could go wrong there.
Travis, I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
The LPL fans will not be watching. They'll be furious that TES just got shit on in the quarterfinals and got sent home by Team Liquid, and Team Liquid will be like in the semis. Like, I'm just putting it out there, guys. I know they got. I'm just throwing out jokes, but like, yeah, do it. We need to get Mark out there.
And then it's been a couple weeks, but shout out to that Plat team from OQs that I watched on Cubby's stream that took a game off of the GM team. That was excellent.
That was very fun. There was
I didn't
a
even hear
Plat.
about that.
There was
Plat
like a yeah. It was like a Plat
Plat
average team.
Aatrox
Yeah.
at top lane that he just kept not dying.
That's sick.
They had one X low masters player, one mid diamond player. Everyone else, like their support was on average gold. Yeah, it was kind of a banger. They ended up taking a game off of like a GM plus team.
That's
Yeah.
sick.
And they lost the series,
So-
but it was pretty banger.
But they needed to get their laurels on Hotline League, so they
Nice.
have gotten them. And then just shout out rock climbing. Shit's fun. And I know some pros have mentioned doing it. Take some pros rock climbing. I think that would be a very funny content piece. So, but thank you for the call, and I will hopefully
Yeah.
call again. So,
Catch you again. Thanks so much.
peace.
All right, we're going to take a quick break to talk about our second sponsor of the evening, none other than NZXT. I know I've been shouting out Caseathon, which has been going on over there. If you want to get some, they're doing some giveaways, some free stuff that they're going away, some deals on cases. Pretty cool stuff that's happening over there. But also, if you just want to check out all of their lineup, you can go to nzxt.co/Travis. There's a link in the description. I'm sure Numi or other people are sharing it in the chats right now. And they've updated a little bit. I just noticed their page got updated a bit with some new stuff. Over on my landing page, there's a nice little illustration they did of me, and then some cool new links to certain things. So go check that out. Whenever you do, please use code Travis5. Using that code, you will save 5% on your order, which is really, really cool that they do this. And it's a way to make sure that they know that I sent you. But yeah, it's neat that they do this. It often stacks with sales. It usually stacks with sales. And they've got a bunch of really cool things. Not just PCs, by the way, but even if you are a builder, because I know with previous sponsors, I've had people say, hey, I want to support you, Travis, but like I don't need to buy a PC because I like to build my own. Hey, check out their cases. Check out their components, the different things that they have available for you. You can use their stuff. You can go order off their site with my code and save some money as you're doing your new build. Maybe you want to play the new Assassin's Creed Shadows game, which just came out. Also are such a cool stuff that's over there for you. But if you also somebody that doesn't like to build your own PC, you can just go grab a pre-built gaming PC with some fantastic power and settings. So thanks so much to them. They even have, by the way, I do want to mention they've got gaming gear, keyboards, mice, mouse pads, all sorts of cool stuff. So please go check out go check out NZXT. They've been fantastic to work with, and really appreciate their support of the show. All right, we got one final call to go this evening. Off Cubby goes to go get him. Big shout out to Sonith. Thank you for the Prime. Coyote gifted a sub to FBI ADC. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. George Zulu with 59 months coming up on the big 60. And Mac to Ace, thank you for the 40 months. Thank you so much. I just realized as I said this that I forgot to text my stepfather happy birthday. As I said, coming up on the big 60. And so I need to do that right now. I feel like a jerk. We're doing this live on the show. Oopsies.
So I cannot be saying the last couple of days I've been so bad at scheduling things. It's been rough.
Yeah.
Happens.
That was a big oopsie on my part. I have to figure out something to do about that.
You can just lie
Our
about
next
it and
call
be
is going to be
"Yo,
from
take
somebody
it
who's going to
easy."
explain to me how to navigate that with my family. Okay, I9 Gamings is here. I9 Gamings, where are you calling from?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So I'm gonna preface this call with saying that I barely watched the LTA this first split because I've been watching the LCS since season 1, and it was just not it for me. But
the
I didn't call
LCS was
for
not
that.
it for you, or LTA?
The LTA is kind of, I don't know. It just felt weird. Just like being an old school LCS fan, I'm talking season 1 all the way through till now.
Yeah.
So it just kind of felt off to me. I don't know. Like maybe it was the format, maybe it felt rushed. Like my friends weren't watching it. Nobody really I know was watching. So I was like, meh. I didn't really tune in until the international bit where Brazil got smashed, which wasn't really that compelling. I feel bad for Brazil fans, but that is not why I called. Why I called was because Team Liquid kind of did a Breaking Point 2.0, and I missed that kind of content. Like I straight up missed it. Like I turned it on, and the first thing I hear is I know Spawn's a head coach and stuff, but I hear the coach being like just ripping into these guys. And I was like, oh, it's going to be one of those. And immediately I was like, all right, got some popcorn. I watched the whole thing straight through, didn't pause nothing. And that is missing. I feel like it's just missing from so many LCS teams or LTA teams now. And it's like, I know it's raw and I know it's unscripted and it's just like how it is in that moment. But my friends were actually talking about it. We're all hardcore Team Liquid fans, have been even before, when we were the 4th place meme. Like, we never won. We were fans even back then, back in the curse days, like way back. So, like, just seeing that content again got us talking. And it's like I missed most of the international competition because I was just unplugged. Like, I was unplugged from Split 1. MSI changed. I was unplugged from that. The Brazil thing, I just wasn't really attached to that either. And it's just watching that content pulled me and all of my friends right back into it to the point where we're looking at Split 2, like, okay, what's this format going to look like? And I'm not a best one hater. Raz.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's good.
I'm
Well, I'll
not a
take it.
best
I'll
one
take
hater.
it. Hell yeah.
But I do like best of threes. And it's because, like, I don't know, like, there's something different about it versus a team coming in, even if it's an underdog team, right? Like, I'm a TL fan. Said that many times, but we crush folk. You know what I mean? We crush folk. Even when people think that we're not going to crush them, we crush them. Then we go international, and sometimes bad things happen. But moral of the story is I like watching these other teams that I'm not going to tune into. I watched the LCS format explainer that Mark did, right? And he's showing all these graphs, right? And he's talking about exposure. I'm telling you, out of all the years I've watched League, like the actual LTA, LCS, whatever you want to call it, these people that have been fans of teams for years, we're not going to go watch this guy's toast. When we're going to watch this guy's toast is when they come and play our team. So if they get one game off Team Liquid and they get 2 matches, like that's equal to a round robin best of 1 exposure anyway. So it's like we're not going to change the teams we're watching mostly. We're just going to watch the teams we like. And if they beat TL in the best of 3, that's also a mega props to them. So it's like I see both sides of this coin, but the Breaking Point 2.0, if you guys haven't seen it, it's on YouTube.
It's
called What Happened Behind the Scenes in Korea. And it's got 28,000 views. Came out 3 days ago. Like, and it's real. Like, you turn that thing on, you'll see it in the first 5 seconds. It's real.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing this up. I guess because it hit what was probably Friday or something like that. I didn't even notice that this came out over the weekend until I saw your post about it in the Discord. So it's actually really cool. I mean, I know that Team Liquid has done a pretty good job of keeping up sort of the behind the scenes videos. They did one around Worlds, and I think last year, didn't they officially bring back Squad? I think that's what it was. I don't know if it ever went away, but I'm pretty sure it did. And so they were like, yeah, we're going to do some Squad episodes. So people can go check it out, but that's pretty neat. I'm going to have to look at this myself.
Yeah.
So is your general take that you want more of this, or sorry, what can you kind of, what's to sum it all up?
My take is that all these teams that are in the league, right? Like, for example, like ones that aren't doing well, okay? Ones that are on the bottom of the barrel, ones that are trying to push middle of the pack, they're in the league new. Like Disguised Toast, for example. Like, it's a content team, but, well, not as much anymore, but it is a content org, right? That's how it started. That's where their main fan base is. It's like, what is the holdup between LCS teams or LTA teams not showing what happens? Like, why do they not do this more? Like, Team Liquid's done it twice now. Breaking Point was way out there. And then the fact that they came back and still kind of touched in that genre, like, and these are players that have a lot to lose, like APA, Jan, Core JJ, like these guys are out there on the market right now. I don't know if they're staying with Team Liquid. Hopefully they are, because I like APA and Jan, but like they're out there in the scene. They have reputations to protect, and they're still willing to do this. So why are these middle of the pack, lower end teams not willing to do this?
I mean, the answer for a long time is that whenever the teams used to do this at the bottom of the pack, nobody would watch.
Yeah,
like it's
I mean,
interesting when you Team Liquid qualifies, they go to Korea, they face off against like, you know, world's level teams, and then they flunk, and they have like pretty iconic players and all this stuff. People are going to watch it. I don't know if like Shopify would get a ton of people to watch their series, even though I know they've been putting out some stuff.
I referenced their first episode on the show last week.
Yeah, how well has it done?
I don't know. I mean, obviously the TL video, it sounds like it's a banger. I haven't watched it, but you said it's at 28K views. That's probably why like the lift to build something like that is big. But I very much echo the sentiment of, I think something that is just doing well in the market and has been for the last 6 months is that fans like stuff that's raw. They like stuff that's real. They want to see what it actually is like trying to be a pro, and what these guys go in like and go through day and out as they try and grind to win at this game. And if TL like hit that even at a tournament where they struggled, then like that's interesting to me. I will watch this now since you highlighted it. The only thing I saw about it was Spawn was like, man, watching this one like hurt, like it makes me more motivated for next year. But it sounds like it was quite the banger. While we're on this, I do just want to generally shout out TL. And we were talking about Ben at his comedy show earlier in the show. Like he helps like write, and they got a content team over there that are a lot more people than just Ben. But I feel like they do a good job of pitching their players, whether it's like fun ads or stuff like this. And it is fun to see that or hear that orgs are putting out something that is raw. So that's cool.
The first 2 seconds of the video, Cubby,
I'll go check it out right now.
We're fucking spineless. We just give up everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that sounds like a Spawn quote for sure.
Like,
no, that was Swiffer. That was Swiffer that said that.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
Well, sounds like an Australian for sure. You know. No.
Yeah. And it's like they show it in a way that is just like, I feel like League of Legends, and again, as an old fan, like I'm talking Double Lift era, I'm talking Dyrus era, like some of the most iconic moments in the LCS were like those moments, like the end of careers even. Like it was just raw. And I don't know, it just doesn't feel like we have that same kind of view. And at the same time, as like just as a fan out here, and Travis was hitting on this earlier, it's like they're not out here talking to us either. Like I remember when Steve used to come on here a couple times a year and just be like, this is what we're doing. And Jack used to do the same. They're not doing it anymore. So it's like, how do we see into these players and these orgs and feel attached like we used to as fans, especially with all this other stuff changing, if they don't come out here and talk to us anymore?
Yeah, I do want to credit. I know Papa Smithy does some of that stuff. He's come on the show previously and all that stuff. I haven't asked to have Steve on for a bit, but I know we've been trying to coordinate getting Spawn on, so hopefully something like that happens soon. I do also want to mention that Fifth Laren said, who helps run DSG, said that they're working on something that should be out soon that might be of interest to folks. So teams are trying. Do I think they're always doing their best at this? No. But I do really appreciate you calling in to highlight a place where like a team has done something really cool, because I would have just missed this. And I think it's the unfortunate thing nowadays is it is easy to miss something like this, because so many people put out like really crazy. I mean, I do this. Everybody has to do this on YouTube. You have to, it's like you're doing a video. What did I see? I saw some video about geological formations and the development of the Earth's history, and it was like, this one change allowed humanity to exist. It's like everything has to be so dramatic that it's difficult sometimes to know what's actually going on. But it is neat to see this. I'm pretty excited about it. So, yeah.
Yeah. To answer the caller's questions of why teams don't do what Breaking Point did, was because I think Breaking Point was objectively bad for players. Like the releasing like that kind of content end of year, like split or a year for a team, and you're like, yeah, and we're kind of letting go of these players, and you're like, oh shit. So like, These players' prospects are just fucked. Like it's just like for the players at least.
Dardoch got so many teams after that, Raz. Okay, you can't tell me.
Hey man, Dardoch
Dardoch
is in. He's at NACL this upcoming split. He's competing against Doublelift.
He was the villain
That's-
of that, and he got so many spots on teams. Like
Your
legitimately.
reputation is fucked. For some of the players, your prospects are fucked. I don't remember a team that Piglet was on after that. anyways, like I think that style of content, it's a big balancing act. Like my problem with other team contents that I end up watching a lot is that they don't give you what you seek, which is conflict and conflict resolution. One thing that I loved about streaming scrims from some of the teams like near airport is they go into review and instantly there'll be like an actual disagreement from like Spica, Croissant, or the other players. Or when you watch Lost Ratones scrims, you'll hear Crownie's very vocal of what they wanted to do, and you're like, okay. So then you're seeing literally conversations within the chat about like, well, Spica's right here, or like Spica's yapping too much, or Nemesis is yapping. Like literally during one of the games where Nemesis is calling for help mid like 5 times in a row, people are like, man, he's so annoying. He's like, you are literally hearing conflict in real time, and people are discussing with each other about it constantly. So like, I didn't like Breaking Point when it got released and the way they did it. I think what they just did right now, which is excellent. Sadly, I told myself that I would watch the full video on stream, so I didn't watch the full video. I watched like a little bit and then stopped. So I watched the Swiffer point. I saw APA calling out Jan about the draft and then saying shit in the draft. Like, these are conversations we want to see, and we get there. Other team content that I often watch is like players coming into the studio, like doing goofy stuff, sitting down in their chairs. Then you see gameplay action come out of it. You hear thoughts from the coach. Yeah, we just didn't play well. Like, it just wasn't the best. Like, it's just was not a great week for us. And then they were like, yeah, we just need to be on the same page. And and we need to be on the same page. And next week we'll be on the same page. I'm like, what the fuck? I want the process. And oftentimes, like that video shows you the process. The stream scrims that we saw from like Lost Ratones and all the other teams, you see the process. Everyone was like fighting to defend Hamza, which like usually never happens during the Ruddy thing. That's the process of people being involved in it. I like conflict. It's what creates entertainment. And yeah, I think that's what So I like this one because this one was safe in the sense of, well, they're bringing the same players back in the next split. And it doesn't show the players in such a negative light. For instance, I think it humanizes Umpty. I need to watch the full thing. But I think it humanizes Umpty where the entire community has pitchforks against Umpty. So it's like, it actually is, they made the video, created conflict, and it's actually humanizing players that they want to be able to promote going in the next split.
Yeah, again, there are different ways to go about it. Like, I'm remembering a moment. I think Weldon, might have gotten some jobs because of some of these team documentaries,
Oh my god.
And there's a moment where like Trick was really struggling at an international, and like he had a circle, and like everyone said something like positive about Trick going into the match, and then they ended up like winning off a play that Trick made and called. It was like that version of G2 was good. That's a cool moment, and I think that when the cameras are on and rolling, you can capture some moments that like fans and people really want to see, and there are ways to do that where you are going to need to show the conflict and the struggle in that, but also, I mean, if you can find any sort of resolution like that can be positive, or even there can be positives, angles, and a team really struggles. Like sometimes you can paint that in a positive light. I think that there are some teams that just aren't willing to put themselves out there because like, oh, like we're likely to be bottom of the table anyway. It's like, why would I start something like this? But I just echo the sentiment of whenever something real hits, I feel like fans enjoy that. And no matter what sport you're in or like into, no matter what you entertain, we all know that that chord or that like right kind of like format, or like when you're getting something that is authentic, any fan can appreciate that. So if this fan feels like TL hit that, then that's great. We just need more stuff like that. Like regardless of whether it's scrims or behind the scenes like ping pong with, or like car rides with TSM, or like whatever it is.
I yesterday went through pretty much 2 years of IMT's like YouTube channel because I was like, I want to pick on the team. I want to pick on a team.
That's one way to spend a Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that. I want to pick on a team because I don't want to do it for, look, I'm here to promote the LTA. But now that the IMT's gone, I was like, okay, let's pick apart this YouTube channel. And for me, when the video succeeded, it was because they were like vlogs that showcase the players and their personalities and stuff like that. Like those were nice. You don't have to make all vlogs. And then when they failed, they were either videos about like hard selling their crypto backers, which is fine, but like that was like the least authentic thing, and it was like multiple videos of that, or just like hearing from the coach or players like talking to the camera saying, yeah, we just weren't on the same page, and yeah, we'll be better next split. Like we've heard this every fucking week from everyone. We could catch that on the broadcast. So like I think if you just want successful content, it doesn't always have to be a vlog. Vlogs most of the time aren't going to hit you great viewership, but anything that makes you a fan of the players is great. You don't have to go as far as like Crowny. I love Crowny, and I think his fucking his memes and stuff is hilarious. Obviously, you don't want sponsors calling you the sex master and and freaky and all that. Like you don't want all that. You don't have to go that far, but like kind of leaning into your players, I think is great.
Well, hey, thank you so much for calling in, i9 Gamings. Anything you want to shout out here at the end?
Just that, like for all the people out here still watching Hotline League that aren't paying as much attention to the LTA, shout out to you guys because I know there's a bunch of us out here, and just it's, I don't know, I just like raw stuff, and I understand why you have to do it in a way that's not going to pile drive the lower end of the league.
Yeah.
Especially with a lot of these younger players and just players that are still developing their skills. Because I understand we were talking about T2 earlier, and that scene got gutted. Like it got gutted in a lot of ways. There's a lot of people out there that lost jobs, and it's just not there like it used to be in the old format. And I understand like the issues with that, but like I understand the need to protect talent, but at the same time, is like if you look at the other end of the spectrum. Like all of the older players that played in the beginning of the league, I'm talking the double lifts of the world. Like you didn't have to do much with these guys because they just got up on a mic and said everyone else is trash and dropped the sucker and then go and blew up somebody, and that's just that's how he was, and it was great. And Travis had him on a couch, but like it was authentic, and that's what created the foundation of the league as we see it now. So it's just any way possible that teams can put people out like that. I really, really hope they do. Just that's pretty much it. I just really hope they can try some way to put more stuff out there like that.
Yeah.
But that's
so
it.
much.
Outside of that, thanks for the call, guys. I will catch you guys later.
Yeah,
Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time. All right, that is the show. YouTube folks, you'd be doing me a huge favor if you came over to Twitch because I'm going to do a quick 5-minute bounty after stream, so I have to turn off the YouTube stream. But twitch.tv/Travis Gafford, if you wanted to show up, it would be very helpful. Cubby, what do you want to do as a shout out plug here?
Shout out to LPL English unofficial broadcast. See you guys on that later tonight. Shout out to NACL also starting this week. So see you guys on that this week. I got co-streaming rights for the days I'm not on broadcast too. So we'll be running a lot of NACL coverage. And besides that, shout out to you guys. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Fun episode tonight.
How about you, Raz? What do you got?
I mean, I'll just probably, God, I'm gonna hate myself if I actually forget a shout out. But yeah, shout out to this community, and just like LCS fans, LTA fans in general, because like even though we didn't get to explore it with the last caller about like what he felt didn't really gel with them going to split one. Change is probably what it is. There's so much change, and sometimes change is very, very it can kind of wear you down. So like for me, I think split 2 should be a lot of fun. I think a lot of teams are really recognizing that they need to get themselves out there, and the fans I think are always great at being able to poke and nudge and say we want more content and this is what we want. And I think that is what keeps our system going, as corny as that sounds. Like as long as we have fans that are vocal, says what they fucking want, what they hate. Even if we have the whole conversation of which one's better, best of threes, best of ones, and Travis will actually like his ears will burn at the sound of best of threes. If you say best of threes, like oh stop saying it. It's bad for viewership. That's Travis right now. You can see him. We're looking in his eyes. But if the fans fucking want it and they're calling for it, that's what you get. So. Even though Travis, by end of the year, will not have ears, will probably look like Voldemort because he will just be, malformed by what the fans have been asking for. You guys make this industry, so much respect.
I don't know how I feel about that. All right. Let's see. For me, thank you, Raz, for coming on. Always a pleasure to have you. Appreciate whenever you say, what have I got going on tonight? Nothing? Okay, I guess Hotline League it is. I wanted to give a shout out. I will be at the Santa Clara Convention Center in California, Santa Clara, April 18th to the 20th for MXP. It's free to attend, and prize pools are guaranteed. They have Magic the Gathering. They have Flesh and Blood. They have Warhammer 40K. All this stuff going on that weekend, April 18th through the 20th. So come out, say hi to me. You can go check it out. Search MXP Santa Clara 2025. And yeah, it's going to be really fun. Come play Magic with me. It'll be a good time.
That's pretty impressive, Travis. You got a whole convention center for a meet and greet. Crazy.
It's true. Please show up. Otherwise, it's embarrassing whenever, I go to these things and then nobody shows up to say hi. So, please come say hi. All right. Anyway, that is the show, everyone. Next week, we're going to be talking about the start of Split 2, which is going to be really cool. Did you just send an emoji over on Skype?
Yes.
For somebody who doesn't like Skype, I was sitting here seeing you spam celebratory emojis.
Enjoy the futures while they're still out, Raz.
Yeah, you have to.
Left.
Yeah.
I'm surprised this didn't show up on stream. You got a tight
me too, actually.
Here. You got a
Relaptic asks if I'm going to try to do any card game meetups in Vancouver for MSI. Definitely. Anyway, we'll see you all next week.